The Epstein files are finally coming out, and what's being revealed is unsettling, incomplete, and raising more questions than answers. After Congress passed a law forcing the Justice Department to release all unclassified Epstein-related records, the DOJ dropped an initial tranche of documents, photos, videos, FBI reports, court filings. But despite the legal deadline, this is not the full release. And that's where the controversy begins.
I was 14 years old. I was 16 years old.
I was 16.
17, 14 years old. This is me.
This was me.
This is me when I met Jeffrey Epstein.
This is me when I met Jeffrey Epstein. There are about 1,000 of us.
It's time to bring the secrets out of the shadows. It's time to shine a light into the darkness.
Donald Trump is the Hugh Hefner of the 90s.
In the 1990s, Donald Trump was building a reputation for himself as a ladies' man.
For an older person, he's very attractive.
He may be the most eligible bachelor in America.
They're the faceless figures in Jeffrey Epstein's sex trafficking ring. Women and girls whose stories fill the Department of Justice files. Some explaining they were raped, others lent out to Epstein's friends, and another given sexual instructions for other men and trafficked. Epstein went to jail for sex trafficking. So did accomplice Ghislaine Maxwell. But the Trump administration says evidence doesn't show other men participated in the abuse. From the FBI.
There is no credible information. None. If there were, I would bring the case yesterday that he trafficked to other individuals.
To the DOJ.
Anybody with evidence, come to the FBI and tell us.
Victims did tell the FBI, but the files show little sign of any follow-up by investigators. A CNN review of the DOJ's own publicly released Epstein files finds more than a dozen times where victims told the FBI that Epstein facilitated sexual encounters with his rich and powerful network. In the pages of redacted reports, there's Wall Street executives, a wealthy psychiatrist, a now jailed film producer, a former prince. But here's what we can't find in the public files. Much evidence of further investigation after those women spoke to the FBI.
What does justice at the end of the day look like for you?
Before we can even get to, to prosecution, we need investigation, right? And so, unfortunately, what we're seeing right now is that there's been so little investigation.
Annie Farmer is an Epstein survivor. She says she was sexually abused by Epstein and his partner Ghislaine Maxwell when she was just 16. She's joined House Oversight Committee ranking member Robert Garcia in a public push for more accountability.
This is about some of the most powerful, wealthiest people believing that they can just get away with anything. And they empowered Jeffrey Epstein to be that person.
The files reveal how Epstein built a trafficking ring. The victims were teenagers or young women who needed money and influence to start their lives. Epstein paid for gifts and exotic trips to his Caribbean island for parties. Victims told the FBI at first he seemed harmless. One victim told the Palm Beach Police Department 2 decades ago how Epstein would groom his victims.
The girl that meets Jeffrey starts off with giving him a massage. The more you do with him, the more you make.
In this 2021 report, a victim told the FBI she believed they trafficked me. She says Epstein sent her to Dr. Henry Jarecki, a renowned psychiatrist who could help her with college. This is Jarecki, pictured here with Epstein in the files. Because she really wanted to attend college, she says she gave Jarecki oral sex. There's no sign of an FBI investigation with Jarecki. He says he's never abused anyone. A wealthy banker named in an FBI report is Jess Staley.
I have had a long-standing professional relationship with Jeffrey Epstein.
A woman told the FBI that she met Staley at Epstein's New York mansion. The woman says Epstein was paying for her to attend massage school and told her to give Staley a massage. Photos show Epstein owned an elaborate massage room. The massage ended in rough sex. She told Staley she did not want this. Federal investigators spoke to local cops about accusations against Staley, but the files don't show much follow-up. Staley said in court he did have sex with one of Epstein's assistants, but it was consensual.
I love doing business. My whole life I've enjoyed doing business.
Leon Black is a Wall Street titan. A woman said Epstein told her to massage Black, who started becoming sexual. She then ran out of the room. Another woman said Black raped her. Files show the DOJ spoke about Black with the Manhattan DA's office, which began looking into him, but he has not been charged for anything. An attorney for Black said he has
newly released documents that were missing from the Epstein files contain serious unverified allegations against President Trump. The Justice Department posted 3 FBI memos describing interviews with a woman who accuses both Jeffrey Epstein and President Trump of sexually assaulting her when she was a teenager. The White House calls the accusations completely baseless. CNN's Paula Reed is in Washington with the latest. And Paula, these were missing from earlier file releases, right?
That's right. And this individual was interviewed by the FBI 4 times. And initially, only 1 memo was released in that initial batch of documents released by the Justice Department. And that was an interview where she made allegations against Jeffrey Epstein, but not against President Trump. Now, yesterday, these additional summaries were released, and they detail the types of allegations that she made against President Trump, where she describes being introduced to him. She alleges that he asked everyone to leave the room and, quote, mentioned something to the effect of, quote, let's teach you how little girls are supposed to be, and then describes an encounter where he pushes her head down to his penis and then told agents she bit Trump, who then allegedly struck her and said something like, get this little expletive the hell out of here. Now, in her 3rd interview, she allegedly said that she was receiving threatening calls. And in her 4th interview, it's interesting, she told investigators that she was concerned about why she was even coming forward, because the statute of limitations had passed. Now, I do want to make sure we get in here the fact that President Trump has consistently denied any wrongdoing. In a statement yesterday, the White House described these allegations as, quote, completely baseless, backed by 0 credible evidence.
The U.S. Justice Department has released documents involving President Trump that had been missing, suspiciously rather, from the Epstein files. They include
days. So more than just a little bit odd, right? For Melania Trump to just skip town on Donald Trump's trip to China. She's been on these trips before. She's not going on this one now. We're about a month out from Melania saying, I don't know Epstein, didn't know Ghislaine. Don't ask me about me and my husband at the parties. Couple of weeks removed from that, and it's still kind of lingering, especially Donald Trump last night won a victory against the man who was trying to release the Epstein files. Massey said this, which I think is incredibly important for this Melania news.
And we need basic decency. We need basic decency. That's what the Epstein Files Transparency Act was all about. By the way, today is the 6-month anniversary of the Epstein Files Transparency Act. We've taken out 24 CEOs, an ambassador, a prince, a prime minister, a minister of culture. And that was just 6 months. I got 7 months left in Congress.
In only 6 months, all of this has happened. Kings, queens, foreign heads of state, CEOs, titans of industry, they've all gone down in only 6 months. What about a president? What about a first lady? I like the sound of that. I like the sound of them paying for their Epstein crimes and them finally being forced to acknowledge the truth of their friendship and their close connection to Epstein. The very thing that Ghislaine Maxwell didn't just deny with that little press conference, or I'm sorry, I should say Melania Trump denied with that little press conference in which she said her and Ghislaine were never friends, a blatant lie, but she also threatened anyone who tried to assert that. Well, good luck threatening the FBI and these leaked.
Donald Trump has failed across the board since returning to office. And no, that's not just an opinion or some emotional reaction from people who don't like him. We're talking about measurable failures, statistical failures, failures that can actually be seen in data. So what happens when the numbers don't look good? What happens when nearly everything you do ends up making life harder for Americans? Apparently, this administration found an answer. Instead of fixing the problems, they started trying to erase the evidence, because that's apparently the new strategy. If reality becomes inconvenient, just make reality harder to find. Since day one, they've been deleting federal data collected and funded by taxpayer dollars, data that belongs to the American people. We paid for it, we own it, yet they are treating it like private property they can simply throw into a shredder whenever the numbers become politically uncomfortable. And understand something here, data isn't just numbers on spreadsheets sitting in some forgotten government basement. Data tells stories, data identifies patterns, data warns us when something is wrong long before most people can physically see it. Think about weather forecasting, think about disease outbreaks, think about food safety, inspections, think about environmental contamination. None of those systems work effectively without data. You don't know where problems exist unless somebody is tracking them. You don't know if things are improving unless somebody is measuring them. You don't know if policies are failing unless somebody is collecting evidence. That's why this matters. Because deleting information doesn't eliminate problems. It only blinds us to them. If a town's water supply becomes contaminated with dangerous chemicals, the contamination doesn't disappear because someone stopped tracking it. If infant mortality rises, babies are still dying whether or not someone updates the database. If hunger rates increase, families are still struggling even if government surveys suddenly stop. Asking questions. Reality doesn't care whether politicians approve of the numbers. Reality keeps happening. But according to reports, data tracking child mortality, hunger trends, environmental hazards, and other critical areas has either been reduced, altered, or removed altogether. And this creates a dangerous cycle, because government agencies rely on information to decide where to allocate funding and resources. Imagine two communities. One community has rising childhood health problems linked to environmental pollution. The other community has increasing food insecurity and healthcare shortages. How do officials know where emergency funding should go? How do researchers identify causes? How do policymakers know where to focus attention? They need evidence. Without evidence, decisions become political guesses. And government shouldn't function on guesses. Let's remember something else too. Politicians constantly claim they support efficiency. They constantly tell us they want government to work smarter. Fine. Then explain how deleting information makes government smarter. How does knowing less improve decision-making? How does becoming less informed make us stronger? How does removing warning signs make roads safer? It doesn't. Imagine driving down a highway at night and suddenly removing every speed limit sign, every hazard warning, every indication that a sharp turn is ahead. The curve still exists, the cliff still exists, the danger still exists. You just removed people's ability to prepare for it. That's essentially what this administration is doing on a national scale, and the consequences won't appear immediately in every case. That's part of what makes this especially dangerous. Because data systems operate over years and decades, researchers compare trends